We're not live. All right, do it again. Okay, we'd like to call the Facilities Committee meeting, the Keystone Central School Board of Directors, the August 27th, 2024 meeting, that is, to order. And we do have several items on the agenda. A lot of them are informational. We do have 3 items for discussion. However, we did have one other item that has been just added recently. Excuse me. We have Alyssa here from Wingenfeld. Did I say it right? I always screw that up. So, but we have Alyssa with us from McClure today to give us an update.
Okay, excuse me, Chair. This was not on the agenda, and we have to have everything on the agenda within 24 hours before any meeting. So if this was known before 24 hours ago, or was this something that just happened?
It was a mistake that I didn't get it on there. And since this committee isn't voting or making a decision about whether or not to go forward with this process, then it is allowable to add things onto the agenda at the start of the meeting, as long as it's not something that you're voting on.
Okay, well, in the near future and in the current future and in the immediate future, just for anyone out there, because I know there's a lot of people in the community that are very interested in this project. And if they would have known this, it would have been on the agenda, they may have come forward. So from here on out, please, if we have a presenter, let's get it on the agenda. And so lesson learned, okay?
I'm sorry,
Yes.
there's an oversight on my.
All right,
on my
well, I
part.
appreciate it. Okay.
Certainly, I'm not an attorney, but my reading on the acts, all these committee meetings have to be treated exactly the same way as a board meeting. So it should be on the agenda ahead of time.
Agreed, it should be
No,
on
I
the
think
agenda
that-
ahead of time. But because
I
we're
don't
not voting
think
on
we're
it.
creating a great crime here if we listen to the young lady since she's here, but
Yeah, we can
we
only
shouldn't
listen, we
make a
can't
habit
comment.
of this.
We can't comment. We can listen, but we can't comment
Why can't we comment?
because it's not on the agenda.
I don't believe you can't vote on it, but I think a discussion in the context of the facilities committee is completely appropriate.
Well, I just want to make sure because we have to always be consistent. We've had other presenters come and we've commented, but they've been on the agenda. But we have a presenter here that's not on the agenda. So I don't feel comfortable commenting. I'll hold my comments until it's on the agenda formally. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
go ahead, Alyssa. It's all yours.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you for having me back. My name is Alyssa. I'm with McClure. Been with them for over 17 years. Today, I'm going to give you an update on the solar analysis we've been doing for the district. For anyone that's new in the audience, McClure is a 71-year-old construction management firm specializing in K through 12 projects. I'm the point of contact for the district. On the line with me today are Chris, Dip, and Damien. They're part of our solar pre-construction team. They're the ones that assembled all this study for you, so they'll be here for questions. We also have a full engineering team once this, if this project would move forward, would design it, a construction team to install it, and a post-construction team to make sure it's doing what we promised. We also wanted to take a moment to say thank you to the district. We have a partnership going back to 2020 where we've completed a number of energy projects for you spanning from lighting to HVAC, and just wanted to recognize that and say thanks. So quick background for anyone that's new to solar. Right now, there's over a 30% tax credit available for solar projects. You have options to buy the system up front, or you can lease it up of a maximum of 30 years. This is a great tool to find positive revenue for school districts, as well as hedge against future rising electricity costs. Tasks to date, we were approved to do kind of this final study for solar in the spring. We had a kickoff meeting in May. We've since then done a lot of engineering work to review these findings with you today. So in all, kind of the overall arching, the district utilizes about 4.2 million kilowatt hours electricity each year. So when we looked at putting solar, we tried to find cost saving way to do it in a very low cost manner. So we looked at 3 different sites for solar, and we'll step through them each individually, but overall will be about 3.1 megawatts that will offset 94% of the of the current electricity load. And then we have ideas for a potential phase 2 at Renovo and at Liberty Curtain to then get to that full 100%. So this phase 1 will just be focused at three sites. So the first site is Central Mountain High School. The location will be up in this field area. It's very flat, very easy to build on solar. It would have the ability to offset not only the high school, but Central Mountain Middle School and Mill Hall Elementary. The array is about a 2.2 megawatt, and it will 100% offset everything on this campus. The second array we looked at is a ground and roof mounted array at Woodward Elementary School. The size of this array is about 0.5 megawatt. You'd see about 230 kilowatts that will be roof mounted in the photo below, as well as 345 kilowatts on the ground. So in all, this will offset about 102% of the load, not only at Woodward Elementary, but at Robb Elementary as well. It's worth mentioning that we did take a look at the roof. That current roof is in good condition. It's about 15 years old. If there would be interest in redoing the roof before you put solar on it, you could expect a cost of about $600,000 to $900,000 to go back with shingle, or $800,000 to $1.1 million if you would do a metal roof. These are just rough costs. We wanted to kind of give you the idea of what this would be if you wanted to budget for it in the future. But also so just something to consider. You could do this with McClure, you could do this with an outside contractor, low bid. Just wanted to make sure that was a part of the financial arrangement. Right now, we aren't taking into account a new roof. We want to be upfront with that. I wanted to give you that tidbit of information for budgeting purposes. Next is the third site is at Bucktail High School. I'm going to focus on the left-hand side. This would be included in phase 1. We'll talk about Renovo as a potential phase 2 at the end of the slide. Bucktail High School, we're looking at a roof-mounted array that would offset about 95% of the load at Bucktail. There would be options at Renovo once you would redo the roof to add the last 5% onto Renovo. That roof was put in 2021. You're only 3 years into a 20-year warranty. If you wanted to extend that warranty up to 30 years to match a 30-year panel, you could do that for around a cost of about $600,000. So what they would do is put a new coating system on that to get you the additional 13 years so that your warranty would match the life of this of the solar array. Renovo Elementary, that roof is about 17 years old. It is not in a good condition where we would recommend putting solar on that. The cost to do a new roof there is close to $1 million to get it to that 30-year warranty. So that's what we would look at as the potential phase 2 for solar at Renovo. Liberty Curtain, because we don't have final plans or a final electricity bill for this building, we also recommend looking at this as a potential phase 2 as well. So looking at the 3 sites, we looked at kind of 2 bookends of financial arrangements. The first one we'll talk about is a 30-year power purchase agreement, or PPA for short. Basically, you would lease the system for 30 years, no dollars out of pocket up front. The second option we'll look at is if you would directly buy the solar array up front. So kind of the 2 bookends. So let's look at the table from left to right. The first column represents years 1 through 30. That's the maximum time of the lease. This assumes it's $0 out of your pocket. What you're trying to do is offset your PPL bill. You take the savings from your PPL bill to pay for the solar array. At the end of 30 years, we get this question a lot. What do we do with the solar array? You would have 3 options. 1, you could ask us to take the solar array off the field, everything from the ground up, and that's included in the agreement. Second, you could ask us to abandon the solar array, and it would become the district's asset. Solar arrays have lived up to 40 years, so there's still potential you would have another 10 years of beneficial use. A third option is you just could extend the PPA additional years and just keep under the same paradigm that you've been working through. So 30 years, that's the maximum lease. You could shorten this up anywhere from after year 6. That's the IRS says McClure has to own it, operate it, and maintain it in order to get the tax credit. So you could really buy it out in any year you'd like after year 5. Column 2 shows the annual generation of the solar array. So this is what the solar array will produce kilowatt hours wise and send back to the grid. The solar array does degrade over time, about 0.5% per year. So about 86% efficacy after 30 years. So you will see that slow decline there. These generation amounts are guaranteed by McClure Company. So if there's a shortfall in generation, McClure is responsible for that difference. Column 3 is the existing electric cost savings. So what will happen to your PPL bill? You'll still get a bill each month. You'll still be taking energy from the grid at night. You're producing solar during the day and sending it back to the grid. And what will happen is on your electricity bill, you're going to start to build a credit. Each year, every May, you'll get a check for whatever that credit amount's worth. So after a full year, you could expect a check from PPL to be about $465,000. Now that credit is what's going to help offset the cost to McClure. So column 4 is what you would pay McClure. This is to own, operate, and maintain the solar array. We take care of everything except for mowing. So we will make sure it's operating. We guarantee operation. If anything breaks, we're going to come out and fix it. We're going to build it, take care of everything start to finish. That's an IRS rule. In this PPA fees, we're including maintenance each year. We're including an inverter replacement likely around year 15. That has about a 15-year life. That's what takes the direct current electricity, converts it to alternating current. We also include the PPL Act 129 rebate that you'll get in year 1. You'll get bonus and annual depreciation tax credits. You'll get a 30% plus tax credit from the investment tax credit from the ITC. We also take into account what you can sell your SRECs for. So we'll manage and operate that and guarantee the SREC benefits to the district. So that's basically McClure takes care of everything but mowing. Mow about twice a year. We do put in a special seed that only grows so high under the height of the panels. So it's just maintaining that growth. So column 5 is if you subtract column 4, what you pay McClure, minus column 3, your savings on your PPL bill, you get column 5, which are your annual savings. And then over the next 30 years, you'd look about $6.8 million in savings. So that's the 30-year cash flow. If you wanted to break it down by site, what of that 6.8, you can look at each site individually, and we have individual tables here to kind of say, hey, if I took this apart and just did a cost breakdown, you're looking about 75% of the savings coming from the Central Mountain Array, about 15% cost savings coming from the Woodward Array, and about 5% cost savings coming from Bucktail. So it just kind of gives you an idea of where those projects are. So when it comes time to make a decision, you can decide to do all locations, no locations, a few of the locations. Just wanted to give you that flexibility so you can see what they individually look like. Slide 14 shows you what a direct pay option would look like. So instead of leasing this from McClure taking on the risk, this will be what if the district bought the array up front and they would take on the risk and responsibility. With taking on that risk and responsibility, you'll also see the increase in dollar savings. A lot of that has to do with now you're financing it over 20 years instead of 30. You're also seeing those SRECs and having no risk associated with those. And you just be maintaining and insuring it yourself. So moving left to right, right now we're showing the first 20 years bolded because the method to guarantee a solar array over 20 years, you would do it through an energy contract like you've done with us before, guaranteed energy savings agreement. The max in Pennsylvania is to go out 20 years, but we're showing 30 years so you're able to compare apples to apples. And column 2 is what you'd save on your PPL bill, similar to what I showed you on a previous slide. Column 3 is what the solar renewable energy credit savings would be in your pocket. The tax incentive that you would get in year 1. We're actually going to show you reinvesting that into column 4, which is your financing. So this solar array, if you built all 3, would be around $8.2 million. If you would finance that at 4%, that's what your 20 flat payments would look like annually. Column 5 would be maintenance insurance. This is what it basically takes to run that solar array. So what it's going to take to maintain it and insure it over the next 20 and 30 years. So that way, column 6, when you get to annual savings, this is taking the savings from solar renewable energy credits and on your PPL bill, taking out what the cost is to finance it and what it costs to operate it, To get a true cost savings, about 162,000. It's about 90,000 with the lease arrangement per year. And you'll see a total savings about 11.1 million over the next 30 years if you buy the system upfront. So just wanted to really just give you kind of the bookends. If you have questions with this, feel free to give them to Dr. Redmond and we'll be sure to answer them for you. Just wanted to let you guys know there is a grant program coming out early next year, whether you apply for it for phase 1 or phase 2. We'd love to help you with that. They would offset 50%, up to 50% of the solar costs. We expect it to be very competitive. We believe it's only going to be funded 25 million for this first year, and it's open to all school districts, intermediate units, CTCs. I think cyber charter got added in at the last minute, so that all will be able to apply for that grant. But it is up and coming. I wanted to make you aware. We actually helped write the grant to ensure that schools would have access to this money. We've done this for a number of schools. You're looking at a 3 megawatt project. This was about 2 megawatt project. It's Steel and High Spire. If any of you want to go visit that, be happy to set it up. It was the 7th largest array in the state and the first 100% powered solar school in Pennsylvania. Mifflin County School District right down the road. That's the largest array in Pennsylvania. That was another McClure project. They did a power purchase agreement or a lease agreement with McClure to do that. It was a mix of ground mounted array and roof mounted array, slightly larger than your project here. So you guys would fit somewhere in the middle. I'm happy to set up tours here as well. We've done work with E-Town, East Lycoming. We also have a couple projects under construction, including Southern Columbia Area School District, Forest Area, Upper Dauphin, and our own office building. So with that, in terms of next steps, you have a lot of decisions to make. Appreciate the opportunity to do this solar study for you. We'd be interested in looking in other avenues if there's interest for that. But just to make a decision, if this is something you want to do you want to lease? Do you want to own? Which sites? Do we got the sites right? So we really want to be a partner throughout this process and just appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to work with you. With that, I'll turn it back to Dr. Redmond, and if there's any questions, let us know.
Thank you. So then for the committee, the decision is whether or not to have you present the same thing to the board, perhaps at the September 5th study.
I will say this, it's up to you, Dr. Redmond, and the chair, President James Knopf, whether or not you want to put it on the agenda. This is a presentation, just like any other presentation. It's not on the agenda. So I'm not going to ask McClure any questions, unfortunately, because it's not on the agenda. So it's up to you and president of the school board. Whatever you put on the agenda, that's the way the policy reads. So it's unfortunate oversight, but it happens.
Well, I would think it might be a good idea to have Alyssa come back on I guess it's next week's work session that we have scheduled on the 5th to give, this same presentation at that point. And I think my recommendation, and this is me speaking, not necessarily the committee, but I think you guys have done a good job laying this all out. We know our options. We know where these arrays are going to be located. I don't think there's any reason we couldn't put it on the agenda for next month's on the agenda or on the work session and the voting. And because I think the sooner, if we are going to do it, the sooner we get going, the sooner we can get it up and running. So.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Alyssa. All right. Next item on the agenda, the high school CMHS tennis courts.
If I could, as we're getting into these, Sam Hoy is with us now as the PSO manager. And over the course of the next few facilities committee meetings, I'm going to be turning over the leadership from the district administration side more to you, Sam, to sort of walk through and talk through these issues and respond to questions and comments from the board. So
Can he sit up here? I mean,
as the committee likes.
I don't see, and if you, I mean, committee members
Yeah.
sit at the table. Not that you're being forced to if you like space, but he is officially on the committee. So,
Well, I know that Rob usually sat up here, so come on.
Are you happy there?
Thank you.
I mean, if you're happy there, stay there.
Doesn't have to be extremely full.
So I apologize for interrupting. You were saying the first thing is on about the high school tennis courts. So Sam and I have taken a look at the high school tennis courts along with the middle school tennis courts, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But we did a couple of things to point out. First of all, our high school tennis courts are where we do our competitions for the district. And we believe that we need to pay some attention to that. We also have our athletic director who can speak to the use of that and how often we see competitions and any issues that might be there with our tennis teams. But Sam, you want to talk a little bit about what we saw, and then maybe we can ask Mr. Peters to weigh in as well.
Yeah, so the middle section of courts over there, we noticed that there's a pretty significant crack that runs pretty much the whole way across all three, right around the net area in the middle. And then the first court, we'll say it's the Beach Creek corner there. That one has a pretty good crack that runs not under the net, but out from the middle. I think our best course of action is to repair this year. Just try to fill the crack as best we can and put an epoxy on it. But since it is our competition court, I think that we should seriously research replacement for that, for all those tennis courts. The popping, the cracking, I think it's just going to get worse. Probably hasn't been touched in 25 years.
I would add to that. Oh, sorry.
that's okay.
You know, over there by you, Elizabeth. Make room for me. There you go.
You can always sit up here if you want to. You know that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, wherever you're comfortable.
So from my end, this is something that as I'm new athletic director, only beginning my second year, it is something that I was aware of both as a middle school principal, because we've had discussions on our 10-year plan and where certain things fall. Both Coach Zettel, who is the girls coach, and Coach Brinker have brought this to my attention multiple times as the condition of the courts here at Central Mountain High School continues to kind of really decay. And we play competition in there in the fall as well as in the spring. I would also say from the middle school to the high school aspect of it, I know that our tennis courts are used throughout the fall as well as in the spring for health and phys ed classes. Part of our wellness opportunities, a lot of time is spent giving students the opportunity. A lot of students choose those opportunities to be outside and utilize the tennis courts. I also had forwarded some information to Sam. I don't know if you were with us at that time, but I know Dr. Redmond, I had shared with you some parents who had expressed some concerns and sent some emails in just about the condition of the courts. They had referenced that, you know, our tennis programs have grown dramatically in recent years. We had a state champion last year, actually a two-time state champion, and his sister right now was the runner-up as a freshman. And so we'll have her for a few more years. And so obviously as our program is really doing well, the increase in participation for girls this year is almost doubled the number of athletes participating in tennis. I really, of the two priorities, would emphasize the competition court of the two courts. But I know, you know, we've had many conversations about the middle school and the uses and the phys ed department and different things over there as well. But I really feel like here at the high school, of the two courts, that would be the priority from my position as athletic director.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So just so if we could package all three together, just so we all have like a reference. Now I know Bucktail is heavily used. Maybe in the future, we could find out like this is wrong with this one, or this is the condition, or this is the challenge for this one, and this one. So we see three together because they're probably built around the same time. Those two were probably earlier though. And the high school obviously was when the high school was built in the nineties. That would be extremely helpful. And also, over the years, they've been doing different surfaces. And maybe this might be the opportunity to look at consistency with the surfaces. And also, we've been talking about this for 2 or 3 years now, and some of them can have naming rights. We've had people in the community come forward who are willing to start donating money and also help with fundraising. And we also still, it's been about 3 years now, talking about advertising signs, which would,
Help
a
offset the
policy.
cost. Mhm.
So I just want to make sure that I appreciate you bringing this up, and that we, instead of the 11th hour, this is deeply appreciated. This means excellent planning will take place. So if we could find out those three as a package, I mean, I would feel a little better about it. And then I'll bring up some other conversations, but I think this is very exciting because tennis and then pickleball, when for the phys ed classes,
Yep.
that's huge. That's huge. And then we're talking about crank nets and all that and but that's,
Yeah.
I'll hold off.
What you're referring to, Elizabeth, too, and not only tennis, you said the pickleball, the other activities that we do, particularly in phys ed and the opportunities that we're trying to present to kids and have some choice and input. Definitely, we're seeing opportunities that we didn't always consider. And I think that's really important. Not being at Bucktail, but I would say to that, they have girls tennis, so it is a competition surface up there as well.
Yes.
And they also would have access to be able to utilize that for their phys ed courses and things as well. And so just being considerate of all the facilities and looking at them, I definitely think, looking at the broader scope, I do know that Bucktail's courts are also on the 10-year plan for need for repair. And so all three would have been listed on there and have been listed on there for a couple of years.
Yes, and that would be great if we did that. And also, if the committee, the administration, staff finally come to a consensus on, allowing the public or not allowing the public onto these surfaces and have it a policy for it. Because, we have to have consistency, and I think the community would deeply appreciate that acknowledgement one way or another, so they know. Because sometimes you walk around, you see no trespassing signs on our facilities. Other times you see no signs. So signage also might be helpful too. So that's, again, I'm talking down the road.
Yep.
But this is a great first step. Thank you so much. Looking forward to how the next step that you bring towards us.
Yeah, what I'll do right now is here in the fall, we're gonna do the repairs just to get through for now. And then, I'll put together a PowerPoint for all three courts.
That would be lovely.
Budgetary pricing, options for kind of material we use.
That would be lovely. This is
Yeah.
exciting.
These repairs will legitimately bring it back to good playable condition.
Safe.
I believe that we can do enough temporary repair here in the fall, especially on the competition court, that we can at least make it safe, eliminate tripping hazards, shouldn't deflect the ball. No promises on that, but we'll do our best to.
I
make
think
good
that's
repairs.
important to try to get as close to, a good solid, especially if we're making the argument that it's important because it's the competition. We're talking about gym class, well, kids are resilient. But, if you're talking about an athletic event, it's really easy to get pissed off if you get cheated. So.
And we are currently using the courts. Our tennis season has started. We've had a few matches. We've been home twice so far. But I agree with you. Obviously, we're there, and the sooner that we can address those issues. I know that we did, Sam wasn't here last year, but we did repairs last year similar to try to keep the surface in the best possible condition that we could at this time. But again, we're continuing to just patch and try to take care of something that we know is an issue.
I mean, what I'm getting at is, are we kidding ourselves? It's like, where I live, we have a road. my neighbors refuse to acknowledge the fact that it's gonna be either expensive to fix it right or we stop fixing it because they do all these little things that just last a year and that's it, you know, if it's a waste of time and money, maybe we should just bite the bullet and resurface them.
We don't have the budgetary capacity this year to do it. We know that we're gonna have to specifically earmark some money and move some stuff in there, some funds in there to make these repairs. We know it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars to make the repair just for the high school courts. So that's why as Sam and I have been talking about this, our best way forward for this year is to make the repairs, knowing that they are temporary until we can build up the funding to make the eventual complete repair that we know we need.
And I definitely, we've talked about this for about 4 years now, this would give the committee or staff or whomever enough time to look at grants, and especially the DCNR grant, if we have a policy that backs it up, that the public can use it during XYZ times. Outdoor recreation is huge and usage, at least at the middle school, is very high. So once you get your numbers together and the surface choice that's safest for the kids, long-term, all of that, that's when the committee, the board, administration can decide whether or not they're going to seek outdoor funding sources or tap into the taxpayers, or a combination of both.
I would echo what you're saying, Elizabeth. I think this plan would give us time also to be able to say, are there individuals interested in donations, different things as we move towards next year? Are there grant opportunities to look at, if we're looking at potentially looking at making some of these things happen next school year? So that's something that Dr. Redmond and I have been discussing in multiple different avenues of how we can approach the community and what that can look like in securing some naming rights, donations, different things to help offset some of those costs.
That's lovely. I know we can do this. I know we can. Thank you so much.
I think it sounds like a good plan. I think our priority obviously has to be these courts here. We need to get them in playable shape for this year with the temporary fix. And then if Sam can bring us all that information here in the near future, one of our next couple meetings as to what we're looking at dollar-wise to do, not just this one, but the other two as well. And then, of course, this has to be the priority for right now. We want to get it ready to go. So this time next year,
Mhm.
it will be in PIAA shape or whatever. So,
That's great.
all right. Next one is, I guess this is dealing with some ADA compliant issues at both the middle school and up at Renova Elementary. I guess there's some curbing that needs some adaptations made to them at both of these locations. So Sam, if you want to bring us up to speed on that.
At Central Mountain Middle School, we have two locations, one outside of the auditorium, one directly outside of the gymnasium, that we plan to add ADA curbing. I had a contractor in last Friday, so we did a walkthrough and we can get some quoting on that. There's also two locations around the elementary school up in Renova, and I asked them to get me a price per ADA section. Obviously, there's going to be a little more cost with hauling material to Renova, but at least then around the district, we know if we have additional locations, we have an idea how much it's going to cost. But so right now, quote should be coming in for the middle school, I would imagine by the end of this week or early next week. And we're also going to address Renova.
And so that the committee is aware, this is work that we had originally planned to do and had some money set aside for the spring, but then the transition with Mr. Priscilla leaving and Sam coming in,
Yep.
it's one of the things that we didn't get to. So we're
Understood.
just keeping that, keeping it rolling. So we're trying to get the work done as soon as we can.
Are we looking at what's the time frame on this? If once we get the quotes,
My plan is to to put in the requisitions as soon as we can.
Try and get it yet before
Yes.
snow flies. Possible.
That's
All
great.
right.
And then quick question.
ahead.
Thank you. The football field at the Central Mountain Middle School, it's gone through some transitions, and I know the bleachers are on here, but if I could just jump to this ADA situation. I don't know what your plan or the school's plan or administration's plan is for that field, but we've known some issues there about these particular things for a while. So maybe in the future, let us know what the vision is for that field. So whether or not those issues should be also brought up.
Yes, they will. And we have been having those discussions and we're trying to work out a comprehensive plan. Some of it is testing and seeing how this year
Yes,
works.
that's what I'm saying.
And so,
Mhm,
yeah, so yes, that will be coming to you.
Good. Thank you.
I know we've had this different combination of things that we looked at for that. But we haven't
Mhm.
really honed in on anything yet, so. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm just looking at this, for my own edification, I'm not looking for an argument. But, now I lost it, I'm sorry. It looks like when you read this, you're saying a ramp to the cafeteria exit, and then 2 ramps by the gym and the auditorium. I'm not familiar with the property. Are they
Mhm.
all remote from one another so that it's
Yeah.
separate entrances? Yeah.
Mhm.
And then why are 2 curb things necessary at the elementary school?
Up in Renova?
Yeah, well, is that where it was? Yeah. I
Yes,
know.
yeah, the 2 for the elementary school are in Renova. Currently, there is no ADA coming out of the exits towards the football field on that end of the school. And the curbing is still at 6-7 inches high off of the pavement. There's no drop down. Curbing is 80% failed in that section as well. So that's why the ADA.
Thank you.
Yeah, the middle school, the cafeteria and the auditorium on completely different ends of the building, so.
And what about the gym?
Polar opposites. Oh, it's,
Yeah, it's all good.
it's, they really are in 3 different locations, so. All right, and the rest of these are existing things that are either completed or are in process. And
So-
we're just kind of informational updates, so.
Yeah, so we just wanted to make sure, because these are all significant chunks of work that were going on over the summer, and so I wanted to provide the committee with just kind of updates on the work that's been more or less completed. I mean, some of them aren't completed, the tennis courts, but the other stuff. So we can talk about those.
All right, first, the HRG stormwater piping repair.
Okay, so the HRG company, that is a engineering quote only. What they had provided before, the $18,200 had nothing to do with any kind of work. It was just to acquire permits and provide us with an engineering design. I've since taken over here in the last couple of weeks. I spoke with DEP. I also spoke with the Clinton County Conservation District, which they stopped by there last week. And they're gonna provide us with a comprehensive list of ideas for repairs, what they are gonna recommend for us. I haven't seen that list yet.
That's great. That's great. It's so funny because during the, there wasn't a meeting, but it's on the agenda for the curriculum co-curricular. And the new science, anyways, one thing they did mention was that they're using possibly, for the sciences, is the man-made wetland here at the high school for study. And it would be so great if they also had one at Bucktail. But we'll see what the Conservation District comes up with, how they want to handle the recommendations for the stormwater. But that was, it's sort of funny, it happens at the same time, but
Yeah, I can say that I would plan for very extensive amount of repairs to fix that, so. Plan that for the future. Put that in the back of your mind, because it's not gonna be an easy one.
No, and it's not gonna be cheap either. All right. Middle school tennis court repair.
So we kind of already discussed the middle school tennis court
Right,
repair.
right.
Same situation. The cracks there are much more extensive than anywhere else. We will do our best to make it playable for recreation, for the kids, gym class, or
Yeah.
the public that uses it for pickleball. But that court is pretty well shot.
I think their safety is probably gonna be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's, again, you're going out to hit the ball around.
It's a long time overdue, but this is exciting. Thank you.
All right, Bucktail High Wall repair. I think that should be
It's completed.
completed by now, so.
Have a
So-
question?
Could you have a question about that one?
Rob, the former facilities supervisor, said that they were taking the wall down a certain distance so they could finally, hopefully figure out what the cause of the effervescence or the failing of that wall. Did that conversation ever happen, or is that something you could let us know in the future? What was the assumed cause?
You want me to take this? Or-
Yeah.
Okay. So they brought the wall down about 6 feet
Yes,
to where they found the structural damage that was coming from underneath the roof. It was pulling on the wall. That's what was causing it to fail. There was too much tension, and the structure around that, or the brick was failing. So as the brick failed and the tension on the roof pulled, it was pulling that wall backwards.
so the steel was contracting in different,
Right, because there was so much force.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
Huh.
brick was no longer,
No, I understand what you're saying. I really do understand what you're saying. Huh, well, that leads me to this then. But when Rob Pasella first started, I let him know that there's a wall at the Central Mountain Middle School, at the auditorium, facing north, facing the 10-acre field, the cornfield. I forget what the number of that door is. And a little bit of effervescence was starting to happen where the calcium, you get the white coming out of the brick mortar. Okay. And it started a little bit and he was watching it and then it got a little worse and now it's substantially worse than it was 10 years ago. And now it's also started on the east side, which is over the main entrance. So I'm hoping that what they saw at Bucktail didn't start as that, because for whatever reason, the effervescence has gotten a lot worse in the last 10 years. So I don't know, if just put it on your radar.
so that comes from holding moisture.
Yes.
So that's something that I looked at it last week,
Oh, did you?
and there's some considerations that we can look at with weep holes or something to allow the moisture to drain where we want it to drain, and pull that out of the brick. We also looked at options for sealing the brick,
Sure.
both sides, as best we can, to try and help prevent that. But over time, as the brick ages,
It's
it's gonna hold moisture.
probably over
Yeah.
1955. So I
It gets-
mean, it's on the radar. Thank you.
Yep.
It's on the radar.
Sam, this problem with the tension on the wall up in Bucktail, that's been remedied too? not
Yes,
just-
they completely
Oh.
redid the structure of where that steel meets the brick. Should be good.
Great. Good news.
Okay, next item, the AHU 1, 2, 3 installation, the ELC controls
So the AHUs are all installed, they're all operational right now.
here.
Yes.
What do you think is gonna be your biggest challenge with that? I mean, is maintenance, or do you have a maintenance contract, or getting the? Is there, I mean, do you feel real good about it? I mean, I know, because they had to buy millions of dollars worth of new equipment, and so, is there anything we should know?
I don't think that need is gonna go away for a while.
Mhm.
Okay.
But currently, we do have some contracts with HVAC companies for maintenance. Our personnel, limited as they are,
Yes,
were instructed on how to operate. And we can, we have the numbers for the replacement filters and whatnot to help maintain. But, long-term, the district as a whole needs a maintenance plan.
Okay,
And then we can better evaluate where we are and what we need. But
that sounds really challenging and something else on the radar, which is great. That was
Cool.
something, Rob, and also the roads too. That was something, that's great. Okay, good.
What is the actual current state of our HVAC system here? I know we have,
Mm.
it was pretty much in pretty bad shape.
it's 25 years old.
And
That's
I
bad
know
shape.
we were trying to come up with the funds to do that. And it was a pretty big ticket item, to say the least.
We've applied for the DCED grant to do the first phase of the replacement of this equipment. And we're hoping to hear this week about the results of that grant. And we'll go from there.
Please
I know.
email everyone immediately. Please, please.
I think
Thank
there's a
you.
lot of people wait for that grant.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there's more people waiting than there are funds available.
That's for sure. Well, hopefully we can at least get some of that. Middle school canopy repair and
So-
removal, I should say, removal.
So that job is complete, and talking with Dave at the middle school, they had decided to go with a nice Central Mountain Middle School sign that's gonna go across the front of that. But I think it turned out really well. The repairs that were part of the project for filling the holes in the concrete, everybody needs to be understanding that that is temporary. Eventually, all that concrete's gonna have to get replaced, but for now and getting the kids into school, that was what the best thing we could come up with. And I'm sure in the wintertime we'll have issues when water gets down inside of there and pops them up, but we'll keep our eye on it.
I want to thank you and the staff for all the work they did. I want to tell you something. I've been walking by that for over 20 years. I never realized how ugly it was. I know, I'm serious. It's funny. You just get used to.
it, yeah.
And now it looks so much better. It's amazing. It's absolutely stunning. So thank you for everyone.
Yeah, it was way past due for that to be history. So I thank you guys for all that work that you did to get that done. Bleacher removal.
So the bleacher removal at the middle school was complete. Out of the material that was taken out of the field, we built 3 temporary sets of bleachers for the folks to use to watch soccer and football this fall, so we can make a determination on what to do with the middle school field altogether. What kind of bleachers we're gonna put back. So that is complete. Seating, dirt, everything's back in there.
Looks really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that was one of those things you never realized how ugly it was until it's gone. We just got so used to seeing that it really looks beautiful. It's open. It's a great job. Again,
Sam, if I could add to that, I know Harlan and the guys were finishing up yesterday. We had our first scrimmage on there for use. My game managers covered everything. We had the 3 sets of temporary. We invited, as Dr. Redmond had encouraged individuals to bring their own chairs, things like that. I had no complaints, had no issues with anything that occurred there, and trying to deal with the situation pretty quickly. On our end of it, a couple of the other things that Sam and I have talked about, and I've also talked to Mr. Lynch and Bill Probst, and again, not long-term solutions, but potentially short-term solutions. If you pull up there, the ticket booth is again it's way past due, and there are some other different areas. We lost our press box when the bleachers were removed, but I've talked with both Kurt and Bill. They feel like the students have some opportunities to maybe do some projects over there that could, make the ticket booth look a lot better, do some things like that. So those are all conversations that we're having. We're just not there, but again, nothing that we want to move too quickly on, that we're investing a lot of money. Mr. Lynch had said that right now they work with Lowe's to get some lumber
Yeah.
that is and they're building some different things. They have a framing course that is connected to Pentec. And so he felt like all those things might tie together and give us some options. So it again are things that we are considering and trying to be thoughtful of as we move forward.
I will be
Hmm.
out there cheering you on when that ugly white shack is taken off this premises.
That would be a goal for me as well.
Oh, that's great news. Great news.
Well, it would be good, I'm really looking forward to what recommendations that the administration, comes up with for that whole area with the track and the field and that whole,
Mhm.
that
Got a
whole
lot of
general,
potential.
Yes, it
see
does.
what, what some of the recommendations are there or some of the options we can do with that. And then we can move forward with it some soon, hopefully. Mill Hall fire alarm.
That is
That-
complete.
That's completed.
That work is 100% complete.
All right, and the high
What
school,
was wrong? I'm sorry, I don't remember. What was the challenge with that?
So they went with a different company, completely reinstalled a new fire system, which required a lot of the sensors
Mhm.
around the building to be replaced as well. So that all went as one package deal
Great. So there's all consistency now.
with that building.
Okay, I hear you. Well, one chip at a time.
Yes.
Maybe that's why there's that flashing light. It goes on 24/7 outside the door. Okay, when you're facing Kyler Street, it's the door cafeteria. You know where the cafeteria
Yeah.
entrance is. Okay, if you move north, or if you're looking at the door and you go to the right, it's that entrance right there. If you look up, there's been a light that flashes just 24/7. So
Still after,
it was still on this morning. Yeah, it's 24/7.
okay. We'll
All
look at that tomorrow.
you can check that out. And last on the list is the high school CMHS water heater.
So
with,
the equipment has been ordered and we're just waiting for it to arrive. Once it gets here, we'll have it installed.
Any idea what?
That was through McClure and we asked last week and didn't get a firm answer. My guess is they're waiting for it to show up at their shop.
You can still function though with, I mean.
Yes,
you
and
can
we
still-
are.
That's, okay, good.
All right. That's all that's on the agenda.
Yeah.
on the list.
Go ahead.
No, oh, just an update from Mill Hall Borough. They're in discussions after 20 years about sidewalk replacements and making sure, because they've had a lot of challenges. So they're still in discussions and they're still looking at the ordinance. But it appears that they're gonna be potentially moving forward with mandating that all property owners that have a sidewalk, they have to get them replaced. Now, all the details haven't been worked out yet. So I can't speak on behalf of Mill Hall Borough Council, but I do know that there is sidewalks in Mill Hall Borough that potentially the district would be responsible for. So I just wanted to put that on the radar. That's all I know right now. So I'll just keep you updated as it goes.
So I have one comment for that. is
Sure.
If you can, while you're there, is sometimes they come out with a standard
Mhm,
so that we don't have 10 different size sidewalks around town.
right.
But if we're gonna be required to put in a new sidewalk somewhere, just ask if there's a standard that they're gonna require everybody to do.
I'll see him tonight. Okay, thank you. I appreciate
you.
that. I will.
Okay. Anything else?
Johnny, a question.
Sure.
John, backing up to the McClure thing. Sorry, those numbers just are mind boggling to me. Got a simple question. Is whatever we're gonna end up paying them a month equal to, less than, or greater than our electric bill? What we pay now? What you write a check every month for an electric bill, right? Okay. This thing that's going through with them, is it gonna cost us more, the same, or less than what you're doing now?
Solar project,
Yeah,
they're indicating it's going to cost
And
less.
that's not what I want to know. I know what they're
Well,
indicating.
I don't,
but
I can't tell you that if I don't know what, I
So
don't know.
we
what the
don't know.
project-
Okay.
I really
But
don't.
those are
I really don't.
guaranteed numbers.
Are they?
believe.
I mean, it seems like it's too good to be true to me, you know? I'm not.
Well, if they're willing to guarantee it,
Are you happy with them, John?
Well, maybe that's actually, I'm sorry interjecting, but maybe that's something that the board will recommend, maybe, or the finance committee, that the business office looks at all those numbers in
Yeah.
detail. Because quite honestly, you know, this offsetting thing, I'm still not. mm-mm. I'm gonna keep my comments until the public meeting, that's all I'll say, but.
well, maybe what we should do is go to, talk to 2 or 3 of these other school districts that have a leasing plan like that and ask them that question, because they have been living with it. And I
Mhm.
don't think they would have continued doing it if they were losing money. So it would be worth maybe a phone call to Hughesville or Mifflin County or one of these other ones. I really think that it's working out to their advantage, or I don't think they would have done it. I mean, you gotta, and if they're willing, if McClure's willing to guarantee the money and the numbers, then they must be pretty sure, that based on their past experience with these other school districts, that this is gonna,
Mhm.
it's gonna be very similar to what they're saying. I mean, I don't think they're gonna stick their neck out for them. They're not gonna put it out there to lose money, so.
Well, yeah, it's part of their business models. That's how they
Yes.
make some money, which is fair enough. It's a business. But I did notice Hughesville has all their arrays on the rooftop. So I would be very interested to hear Hughesville's take on it.
I think it's a good idea to talk to the other people, but I also think it's a good idea to be not so trusting.
So
They're
we did,
selling us
No.
something.
we did actually have a phone call with another one of the districts in the state that is,
Stilton High Spire.
say that again?
Stilton High Spire was
right.
the other school district that we spoke with,
Mhm.
who has array at a much smaller scale. And they did see a reduction of, and they have the full-blown PPA plan where they paid nothing upfront. They are a very, very small school district. They saw savings of like $15,000. Again, very small school
But
district.
yeah, their
but
scale is much smaller.
Yes.
I mean, my thoughts are if it's legit, then it's a good idea.
I
But
guess what I would
is it
recommend.
legit? And, you know,
A couple
So,
of thoughts. Go ahead.
they're selling us something.
Sure,
I've
great.
noticed in my lifetime that salespeople tend to embellish a little bit.
Certainly, we believe that McClure stands to make some money off of this
That's
deal. Otherwise, they
great.
wouldn't be doing it.
It's
But
business.
I think that Joni and Sam both have some hesitations. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I think that we should, I agree with you, Bill. We should approach this with some caution.
And I mean, if they really are going to guarantee it, somehow we can get it so that what they're telling us is actually what's gotta happen. And it's a good thing, but I'm
Well,
sorry, it sounds to me like, the old adage about when it's too good to be true, it probably,
well, Bill, if it makes you feel any better, when we did the projects at Bucktail and the middle school and Rob, and we just saw here 2 months ago, Elizabeth, we
Mhm.
saw how much money we have saved up to this point. It was like over $100,000, I think,
In installation,
energy-
lighting, doors,
in energy savings. And
energy savings.
and they
yes.
guaranteed that. And they produced that. I mean, it wasn't like they were blowing smoke here and trying to get us to buy something that they weren't going to back up. So, I don't want 100%, I'm not 100% trusting in anybody, anybody trying to sell me something, you got to research it. And you got to make sure that if you're going to make an investment, you want to get a return just like they are. But just based on our track record with them, I guess is what I'm saying. They have backed up what they sold us in the past on the energy savings. And I don't know that what reason they would have not to be pretty confident that we're going to get this kind of numbers.
I guess with anything, I would get another quote.
Well,
I would get a couple of other companies.
That's a good idea too.
that's what Bellefonte did.
But I would also, so Sam and I did talk about this after we spoke with the other school district, just in general. There's a lot going on. We've got a whole Liberty Curtain project going on right now, and I'm not sure either one of us feel comfortable enough to maybe jump into this project right now.
Appreciate you.
And that's,
thing to
this is
know.
really, from a financial side, but I'll go ahead and let Sam.
Yeah,
jump
so
in.
that was my biggest reservation. This is huge to add on top of Liberty Curtain and me being the district. I have different thoughts, different comments, different experience with energy saving things, and that's where I brought up, I think we should get at least 2 more companies to come in here and disclose.
Thank you.
Make them fight it out,
Yep.
As I go through paperwork and I see McClure's name, and yes, they are in a lot of things, and they've got a good history here, you said, with, return on investment. But I do think that if we get a couple of extra quotes, ideas, maybe somebody has an idea on something that we haven't even seen yet, or where to put these arrays.
Mhm.
But what I do know is the technology is getting better every day that we wait to put it up.
Well, if I may, I did,
That's a good point.
well, yeah, they used to have the poly cells. Now most of them have the mono cells. They didn't even talk about that, but that's another story for another day. Bellefonte, I believe, did an RFP, request for proposals. And they knew specifically what they wanted, okay? There is a lot of value in that, but I will say this. I did do the Penn State webinar on solar. It was more geared towards agricultural, okay? I would say the biggest takeaway from all of it, though, was to empower the landowner. And they pressed upon this. Get multiples, okay? Decide if you're gonna lease or own, obviously, but the big one was get a lawyer that specializes in solar. Don't try to second guess, and that was my takeaway that I'm sharing with you, is that if the school district moves in this direction, yes, getting multiple options, doing what we want them to do or requesting for them to do, and a lawyer that specializes in solar. And I think I think we might feel more confident. So, but like I said, when we first did this whole thing, I asked everybody, sure you don't want any other information on solar? And I guess my fault, I didn't go into more detail, but you've had your own journey in this, and you're where I sort of was 4 months ago. And I'm glad we are there together, because the last thing we want to do, the worst thing we can do to the public, especially, is push something on them that they don't really want, but so far everyone seems to want to go this route, which is fantastic. But again, I think we'd all feel more confident taking your input. And after this discussion, after seeing that, I mean, that presentation, again, they did not take into consideration what 2 of the other people here in the room had asked them to do. And I'm not going to discuss that right now because they're not here. It's on the agenda, but I like where you're going.
Yeah, we will proceed with caution and add other people, add other companies into this.
And getting Bellefonte's RFP is I would love to review that. I mean, obviously they've had, what did they do to get to that point? So, all good, all good.
Okay, anything else?
Jeff, I
Yeah.
have one quick thing. And I talked to Dr. Redmond about it, and this is hopefully something I can bring back to the committee in, I'm hoping by October. But it's something that kind of came around at the end of last school year. So I had an opportunity to receive some information from a company named Daktronics. We're gonna, again, explore some other companies that offer similar products. But I've had a couple meetings with them, and so I hesitate to use this word, but I think you'll grasp it the best as far as It's kind of a jumbotron kind of thing.
What a hell?
Yeah, the giant scoreboard with video
Oh,
and
yeah,
all
yeah,
kinds
yeah,
of
yeah.
things. And so, but it's really way more than a scoreboard. And so, the cost is pretty big. But one of the things that I've learned through working with this company briefly and having more conversation is how they've connected it to the school. And so lots of opportunities for kids with media and advertising and different opportunities. I talked with Mr. Lynch a little bit about how maybe it would fall within the CTC and produce some new opportunities for our students to design and do some different things advertising wise to one of the opportunities that it presents is it can bring in revenue after time because you constantly have the opportunity to update the ads. It's not a solid, you paid for this, kind of
Oh, yeah.
donation and your name hangs up there, but it's constantly something new that we can update. It was a community perspective. They used it for community-wide movie night where they invited everybody in to watch The Lion King. They brought their blankets and did everything. And then one of their schools
I'm sold.
sold popcorn and did a fundraiser and different things that way. So I've been investigating this and sometimes things happen for a reason. And so Dr. Redmond, myself, Dr. Z, the National Guard was at our football game on Friday. It was military appreciation. And I had the opportunity to meet with a gentleman from the National Guard. He said, "Hey, I really need to talk to you because I got about $40,000. We're looking for something to do here in your school district." And so I'd like to have that conversation with him a little more, gather some information. I was in contact with typically BSN is who works with Daktronics, but Milton Area School District also has a similar setup, but a different company, some different things that way. So to gather some information, and again, it would be federal funds, it would be everything that way. And so to see if that's something we could move forward to, again, not just from an athletic perspective or scoreboard, but something that could be really crucial to our kids and our community down the road.
I want to.
Well, they do plans with you as you begin, that there are future ventures and they will help you to get some of the solicited donations, different things. They do all that together. So
Okay.
this would be for our stadium up here at Malinak. Yeah. Yep. That would be the initial goal. And then they have various sizes. Some Loyal Sock has one indoors, different things. But I guess, as things advance, I guess the way I said it to someone is the days of putting names on the back of T-shirts and some of those things, that still happens. But what we can offer to our community and our businesses and it is a lot more now. And so constantly being able to update those advertisements and again, get some revenue out of it and stuff, I think it's a cool opportunity for us. So hopefully I can bring that back.
What's the cost of this?
So it ranged from 40 to 50, depending again, what you get feature wise,
That's-
size wise, all those things.
I thought it would
But
be a lot more.
yeah, so one of the schools within the PHAC, Central Columbia, that's where originally the information, I have a video.
I've seen
I'll
there.
send you, and it's about a 3.5-minute video. But just to see from a community perspective, what all they did, they secured $5,000-$10,000 donations to pay for theirs.
I have every reason to believe, and I've been fortunate to be part of these planning things, like the bridge that goes from Wayne Township to Lycoming County for the Pine Creek Rail Trail Connector. I remember that conversation. Pardon me, let me just go here. I remember that conversation when I used to work for the Planning Commission. And my boss said to me, bless his heart, he said to me, "Elizabeth, that's crazy. It's going to cost millions of dollars." And I said, "The money will come if the project is worthy." Okay. Now this, you've got my attention big time, because especially when it's being used besides just the score is 4 to 6.
Mhm.
Okay. This is a communication tool. It's probably LED lights, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
No, this is huge. This is huge. I thank you.
So again, I think it's a cool opportunity, lots of investigation and different things, and obviously working with the individuals from the National Guard to see if we can secure the grant money. But I think it could be really something exciting for our community and again, and our students. I guess that's the part that I really liked about it is how interactive they had clips from graduation and how they utilize it at graduation and other community-wide events that I thought, it's more than a scoreboard kind of thing. So,
Absolutely. Multi-purpose.
Yep.
And adaptable.
Yep.
That's what we like. Great.
That sounds very promising.
I want
We need to pursue it. All right. Is there anything else? If not, we can call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. So finances at 3 or 3:30?